catch you having fun.
Hello guys. Today I am going to be talking about my previous pregnancies that I've experienced. The reason why this pregnancy is so special to me and my husband. My voice getting shaky. Because it's not like a lot of...
Who you talking to?
The camera.
What up, camera? Just kidding.
It's the video he doesn't want to be in, but he's kind of in right now. It's not like a upbeat, I guess, type of story. It's we've been through some stuff, so I'm smiling, but it's, I mean, I got over it, not over it, but you know, we got past it. So I just want to tell you a little bit about our journey and how we ended here. So as you know, I do have a son. My son is, oh my gosh, why when I'm talking to you guys it's so hard. I can see what he's talking about. But my son is 5 right now, and so I met George when he was 2. And you know, me and George has a really good relationship. And so I seen how George was with my son. I seen how he is with kids, period. I didn't really want kids before him. And, you know, with me and my son, that whole transition into being pregnant and doing it by myself and just experiencing that alone was like a kind of traumatic experience, knowing that even before that I didn't want kids. But nevertheless, my son is a blessing. So after all of that was said and done, me and George got together, you know, love in the air. And I would say around, when was it? Probably like a year of us being together. We did get pregnant the first time. The first time that we got pregnant, we were really excited. It was a lot. We found out, when did I find out? I found out, I think at home I found out, and told him about it. We was all excited. Started telling people about it because we were so excited. And, you know, everybody was excited for us. And we went to get... If y'all see his face, y'all understand. But we went to get an ultrasound. Yeah. I think we went to get an ultrasound just to see how everything was. If you want to be in the camera, just come say that. Just come in the camera. But we went to get an ultrasound, and he doesn't want to be in the camera. He says too touchy for him. Went to go get an ultrasound, and after we got the ultrasound, we seen that the baby, they said the baby was too small, because we went in, I want to say 6 weeks we went in. And they said the baby was too small to determine, you know, if anything, they couldn't see anything yet, so to wait a couple of weeks. And so we did. So after that, we went back to the place that we originally got the ultrasound from, because our doctor's appointment wasn't for a long time. So we went back to the place that we originally got the ultrasound from 2 weeks later. And they could not find a heartbeat. So we were sad. Like, I don't know. It was kind of like I didn't want to get that in my head that was even true, even though they were saying it. So we ended up leaving. Went to my doctor's appointment. My doctor's appointment they had said that by the time we got to my doctor's appointment, they said that they had no sign of the baby in the sac, but they want to make sure that everything had successfully flown out, I guess. So they gave me a pill. Not too sure what the pill was called. They gave me a pill and took it, and went through the whole miscarriage symptoms, I guess. So that was hard for us because we were still working. We told everybody about it, so just having to tell everybody that wasn't the case was like emotional. So yeah. So a year, a little bit less than a year, I guess, had went by. Found out I was pregnant again, and again we was like excited. And during that time, I was a trainer. So the first time I was still on the phones. During this time, I was a trainer. So I found out I was pregnant. Again, excited because from what the doctors and everybody was telling us, miscarriages happen, and it's natural, and they don't really, because I had already had a son, they don't really see why the dog would miscarry. So I went to the doctors the second time, and again they were saying it was too early to tell about the baby and stuff like that, so they told us to come back in a couple of weeks. Well, they had seen like a little bit of a heartbeat, like a tiny bit of a heartbeat, but they couldn't detect it on the monitor, I guess. But you could like see it, just tiny. It was tiny. So I had hope. I was like, okay, telling my coworkers, couldn't keep nothing a secret again. And he told his family, and we was like, okay, cool. And then I think we went back. No, I think we waited for the doctor's appointment. So either way, we ended up in an ultrasound again, and when we went to the ultrasound, I was 8 weeks. Or the first time I was measuring I should have been 8 weeks, but they said I was 6 weeks. And then the second time, I was 8 weeks by that time, and it was still 6 weeks, and they couldn't detect a heartbeat. So that was like traumatizing. So they asked me, I don't know, everything just went black. I zoned out. Luckily he was with me. First time it was harder on him, like I was support system for him. This time it was too hard for me. So he had to be my backbone, and they asked me if I wanted to get that pill or whatever, or did I want to do it naturally. And I wanted to do it naturally because I looked up on Google, and I was like, man, this is second time that I've had pregnancy that was 6 weeks with no heartbeat. Like, I don't understand. So we just start questioning things. Like, he's questioning, is it me because you already had a kid? I'm like, maybe it's me because, man, after my son, I didn't want kids so bad. I'm on birth control, taking Plan Bs, just trying to be as cautious as I can without taking precaution, if that makes sense, until him. And with him, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be on birth control anymore, So So I was like, maybe it's me, and so I started looking it up online, you know, the cause for not hearing a heartbeat at 6 weeks, and there was like a lot of sad stories, but there was certain stories that popped out to me. There was people that was talking about like how the doctor said that, you know, they wasn't going to be able to have a viable pregnancy, and they did not. They just let it go natural, and they ended up having the baby, and good. It ended up turning out good for them. So I'm like, okay, maybe this could be me, you know, maybe this is happening for me. Like, why would God put me through the same thing twice? You know, it doesn't make sense. And yeah, wasn't me. So I had ended up going to my friend's house, and she did my hair. Shout out to you, Lily, because she was there for like one of the worst moments in my life. Like, I mean, I was at her house, but I'm not gonna go into detail about the whole thing that happened there, but I started miscarrying at her house, and it was a lot. And she was freaking amazing. I mean, amazing. If there was anybody that I could ever call, like, I don't know, like an angel, like, she was just amazing. She helped me until my husband got there. It's just a lot. So I dealt with a lot. That natural process was not for me. I had a friend who did it natural, and it was not the same. It was not the same like it was with me. And I went through a lot, which was crazy because like during the time that I knew that I was going to miscarry, I told my boss about it, and my boss was telling me like, my apologies guys, my battery had died, which is I guess natural for me now, because my battery just be dying on my previous videos. Anyways, so my boss, I think that's where I was, my boss had told me to take some days off, and I told her I didn't want to take any days off. I just went to work, you know, get my mind off of everything that was going on. And I guess this time, like after I had my little breakdown with my husband, I was just numb. Like, I didn't want anybody to feel bad for me. I didn't want any sympathy, anything like that. I just wanted to work. And yeah, so I was working, and she had ended up sending me home, like telling me just take some days off. And so I took some time off, and then during this time we was like, I think transitioning over to work from home too. So she told me to take some days off. So I took some days off, and during that time that whole thing happened. And it was like crazy because even though I didn't want to take days off, like, well, it went from her telling me take a day off to things happening to her telling me take another day off, and I needed that time because I didn't even know how this one would feel, because the first one, it wasn't like that bad to recover. This one was like crazy to recover. It was a lot. I needed that time off. And so I was still trying to come to work because mentally, even though my body was telling me I needed that time off, my mind was telling me I needed to go elsewhere. So I'm trying to get back into work and do my job, and that was just a no-go for that time. So I finally was able to start working again. Didn't really look much into it after the fact. Didn't want to talk about it to anybody. I just didn't want to feel it anymore, you know? And yeah, so that happened. So I was kind of nervous after that second time to even try again. I didn't want to. It was like we wasn't trying, but we wasn't preventing either to a certain extent. And yeah, so it was kind of hard for me to even, like, I guess purposely try, like purposely. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I'm not. I'm about to PG-13 this, but we wasn't purposely trying, and he knew that I was nervous about it. So yeah, so birthday came, and you know, birthday fun and not caring, I guess, not caring about any outcomes. And yeah, so I found out I was pregnant, and when I found out I was pregnant, I'm actually about to insert it. Like, I got a lot of emotions going through my head right now. Today is, I think, like April 27th. I'll post the date if it's not. I just found out that I'm pregnant. And I'm very emotional because I've had 2 miscarriages before this pregnancy, so I'm kind of scared. But my boobs have been hurting and everything's been hurting, and wow. I really don't know how to feel right now. Oh, freak. This is the day before my championship game. I gotta tell my husband. He's gonna be excited, but I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know how to feel. I'm numb right now. I don't know. Okay. All right. I guess we're gonna figure this out. Talk to you guys soon. I really didn't know how to feel, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't know if I should be happy. I didn't know if I should be sad. Every time I cut off the camera, like every time, because I was just numb on camera, so every time I cut off the camera, I'm like boo-hoo crying, like boo-hoo crying, because, you know, I've already experienced 2 miscarriages, and I wasn't trying to deal with that pain. I didn't know if I could handle that again for the 3rd time. So yeah, we talked about it. Me and my husband talked about it, and we was like, you know, this time, the first 2 times, it was like trying for it. And so this time, he, you know, had to let me know, like, we weren't trying for this one. It just happened, you know, and we just put it in God's hands, because God can't, you know, he's not going to give us more than what we can handle. And yeah, so we was like, okay, this time we're not going to tell anybody. Well, really me, because I got a problem with keeping my mouth shut. So he was like, this time, you know, we was just agreeing that we wasn't going to tell anybody. Just take it day by day. Well, I ended up telling people because at, I don't know how many weeks, but I recorded it somewhere, so if I find that video, I'll post it in here too. But at some point in time, I started bleeding, and it was light, but to me, like, bleeding is not okay for me, knowing what I've been through with my past pregnancies. So looking it up online, everybody said don't worry about it, you know, it could just be the implantation thing. But my mind just kept getting the best of me, and so I went to the hospital. The first time they told me, you know, don't worry about it, it shouldn't be anything wrong with you, you know, if it starts getting worse, come back, whatever. So I didn't really like what the hospital was telling me. It didn't feel right. So a couple of days later, I started bleeding more. So at this point, I'm calling my mom because my husband was at work. Yeah, he was at work. I had to go to the hospital. And so I'm calling my mom, and I'm like boo-hoo crying, telling her, you know, it's probably gonna be the third one. It's probably gonna be the third miscarriage. I can't do it. Like, I don't think I can do this, you know, and I'm bleeding, and she's asking me, do I want her to get off work to come with me? And I told her no, because I don't know. If they told me that I was miscarrying, it just would, I didn't want anybody there with me. Like, maybe my husband, yes, but I just did not, I couldn't bear to be around somebody in my feelings. Like, I just needed to, I guess, I don't know, I just need to feel it myself. I just need to process it myself. And so I went to the hospital. I literally have a video where I'm talking about, you know, how I felt during that time. And once I went to the hospital, they told me that I had a chronic hemorrhage and that it was bleeding outside of the sac, and that the baby was okay, but I had to be precautious because with the chronic hemorrhage, it could affect me having a miscarriage. I think they said like 20% of women who have this end up having a miscarriage. And they was asking me, like, have you fell? Did you get hit by something? And I'm like, no. And I'm like thinking back to the time that I was playing in my championship game. You know, I'm aggressive, so I'm like, did I do something? Like, you know, so now I'm just going in my head, like, really, I don't know, blaming myself for potentially causing this third miscarriage, right? So during this time, we were supposed to go on vacation to Cancun, so you're gonna see my Cancun trip. It was fun, but during that time we was going on vacation to Cancun, so they suggested that I didn't go. But I let him know, like, we can't get a refund on our Cancun trip because this was planned a year prior. Then Corona happened, we couldn't do it. So this was like the ending of when our credit would allow us to still go out there. So he told me if I wasn't able to get my money back, that all he suggests is that I sit down and walk. So I didn't really do much. I mean, I had a little fun, but I didn't really do much while I was out there. And you know, the whole time I'm just thinking in my head, like, I'm scared, like, I'm nervous, like, I need signs to let me know that this baby is okay. Which, be careful what you ask for, because it took me through really bad nausea, really bad throwing up, just critical. But when I got back and I got to my doctor, the bleeding has stopped. So the bleeding stopped. It started, I don't know if this is TMI. So if this is TMI, just cover your ears for like 5 seconds. So it started turning from red to black. I mean, not black, brown. And so that was during the Cancun trip. So then after Cancun, it stopped. And so I went to my doctor and we had an ultrasound. So I was like 8 weeks, I believe, something like that. And they told me that, you know, this one, everything was okay. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all, when they told me about the chronic hemorrhage, the whole thing that I kept hearing was that my baby was okay. So I was like boo-hoo crying because I was like, okay, the baby's okay, but you know, I still got to be cautious. But this time around, they told me that the baby was okay. So even though I kept hearing all of this, I still needed to be sure, because I'm like, okay, here's the positives. The positives is that we reached the 6-week mark with no problems. I wouldn't say no problems, with the heartbeat. We reached 6 weeks with a heartbeat. We reached 8 weeks with a heartbeat. Okay, we're moving in the right direction. So they actually made me come back to back when I got back to back ultrasounds, just to make sure that the baby was okay. And the second ultrasound, nothing was wrong. They were telling me nothing was wrong. The baby was healthy and growing, big, and let me hear the heartbeat again. And I fell in love with this baby's heartbeat. Like, you don't understand. Like, it's crazy. And my son, he kept seeing me cry. He was like, mommy, like, you know, letting me know, like, because he told me I was pregnant before I found out I was pregnant. And so he's like, mommy, it's gonna be okay. And you know, he calls the baby his baby sister. So he's like, when I went to the hospital for the chronic hemorrhage the first time, he's like, mommy, you're gonna be okay. You don't have to cry. Just tell them don't hurt the baby. Don't hurt my baby sister. And yeah, so he was really, even though I wasn't telling him what was going on with the baby, like, I just told him, you know, we just gotta go to the hospital. Like, we just gotta check on the baby, you know. Kids just know. And so yeah, he just kept giving me that reassurance that the baby was okay. And in my head, I kept reassuring myself. The way I was reassuring myself was like, well, my son knows that I'm pregnant this time. Like, I didn't have to tell him I was pregnant. He told me, and he kept continually telling me, because we didn't even tell my son either the third time, because didn't want, you know, I didn't want to go through that process again of telling him, having to constantly tell him that the baby's no longer in my stomach. The baby's no longer in my stomach. So we didn't tell him the third time, but he knew, and he kept telling me, and so yeah, so now we're here, and you know, it's been going great. We finally reached, once we reached the first trimester, like, me and George were just so freaking ecstatic. Like, we made it, you know, like, we made it to the first trimester. But there has been complications within both my sisters within past the first trimester. So in our minds, we're still having that precaution in the back of our heads. Like, I know that, like, if there's a day that I don't feel the baby move, I'm like, what's going on? Like, you know, let me know you're okay. And then I start getting nauseous again. I'm like, okay, cool. And, or like, I'll feel the baby move, and you know, it makes me feel good. So I know this is probably a long video, but I just want to tell anybody out there, because it took a long time. It took a long time for me to even feel okay with my first miscarriage, for sure. My second miscarriage hit harder than my first for me. But I think that it was easier for me to talk to people, like to tell people like, this was a miscarriage, I'm okay. Even if I didn't feel okay, I was telling them I'm okay. You know, don't worry about it. Like, it is what it is. Because I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. And I know that it's natural. It's natural for women to miscarry. Crazy story that I seen was Gabrielle Union talking about how she had 8 miscarriages. And I'm like, Lord Jesus, like, black women in general have a higher rate of miscarrying because they're misdiagnosed a lot. So just be cautious, I would say. Be grateful. Everything happens for a reason, and I know that everything happens for a reason. The first time around wasn't a great time because we was entering Corona. Second time around, like, I just started my job as a trainer. There was a lot of stress added to that, you know, trying to figure out that life. Then adding a kid into the mix probably wouldn't have been the best route. I don't know. You just never know. There's reasons for everything. And then this time we wasn't even trying. We're like, okay, are we ready now? But you just roll with the punches. George didn't want to be on this video because it's still fresh. You know, it's an open wound for him. It's an open wound for me too, but I'm more of an open book than George. So I did ask him, was it okay if I could just post my side of the story? And he'll post his side when and if he's ready. But I just want to let you guys know that, you know, just have faith. Just continue to believe that everything happens for a reason, and you know, you wouldn't be put in a position that you could not handle. And kids are a blessing, and I think that with us having these miscarriages, it just makes you appreciate your pregnancy more. Like, it makes you appreciate the things that you have in life more. At least for me it did. And, you know, cherish everything. Like, I just, this time around has been rough. This pregnancy has been rough, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Just wouldn't. So, to my future son or daughter, I just want to let you know that you are such a blessing. Such a blessing. And I appreciate you for coming, not when I thought I wanted you, but when I needed you, when we needed you. This life is crazy. It's a roller coaster. And you're going to enjoy the ups and downs with us. But we love you. We love you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Yeah, so story times is going to happen, I would say, I'm not going to say often because I don't want to lie, just in case it doesn't happen often. But there's a lot of stuff that I've been through, which was hard situations, and this was just one of the icings on the cake. So you have like my mom checking up on me almost every day. I appreciate the people that check up on me, the people that know what I've been through already, that's already known like some of these stories, but not to the fullest of extent. Like, I appreciate you for checking in and, you know, just wishing this rainbow baby a well and happy life. So like I said before, we're going to keep updating you guys on this pregnancy journey. I hope that you guys are excited as much as we are excited. And yeah, I really don't. I can't think of anything else to say. I don't really have much to say. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you appreciated it. For any women that's struggling right now, even if you are struggling, if you're going through a miscarriage, if you have been through a miscarriage, you will get through it. It's not easy. It is not, but you will get through it. But thank you guys. I appreciate you. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like, comment, share if you like. But this is Tiese. Peace.